Well, hi everyone. This is Dan and Angela with Spiritual Discoveries on Sunday mornings, 10 o'clock. And we're excited about this topic today. It's going to be very interesting. And it's the author is Gerald G. Jampolsky. He's a doctor, MD, psychiatrist, actually. Love is Letting Go of Fear is the book that I just got done reading. And I just want to analyze it and just try to make some sense of this whole thing because when you get out of cults, as most of our audience has been in a cult at least, and are trying to get their mind right, overcome the fears that we've experienced by having been kicked out or left or abandoned or whatever. And obviously a topic is going to be trying to overcome the fear, right? And to try to get into the love space again, because we can get our minds so bogged down by all kinds of negativity, by focusing always on these bad things that are going on all the time, and we want to learn how to not do that. In fact, I don't know about you guys, but I was raised in Worldwide Church of God. Dan and Jessica here, our guest who's on with us right now, both XJWs, Jehovah's Witnesses, and fear runs things. And we've been taught to be critical and to judge other people, which then equates to judging and being critical of self. It does not, is never any other way. If you tend to judge others, you will find that you're automatically going to notice that you're also judging yourself harshly. To the degree that you judge yourself harshly, you are going to be judging everyone outside. But guess what? We learn that. It's a way that they use to separate and divide us from the outside world and from others. It's also used to get brownie points from the elders and the leaders, because when we tell, or we're, honest to tell the secrets of what we see. I saw his brother Baghdad doing this or that, these kind of things, we go and we tattle, and somehow we're honored for that. So we learn to be critical, and same in my church, same thing. And or another twist on it, that we don't see the reality of what's going on. We're told not to see what we're seeing. And that causes fear, because then you don't trust yourself. You're seeing one thing and you're told that that's not what's going on. You're just twisting that in your mind, and or you shouldn't be thinking that. That's not a thought you're allowed to have, or you'll be kicked out, this kind of thing. So you have fear regardless, even if you can't be honest. So I like this book, but it's kind of like, this is what I learned. You got to take what you want out of any given book or movie, or even religion that you visit, or a political party, or whatever you want. You take what you want and you leave the rest. You don't have to say, I'm going to reject the whole thing because something in it's not right. We're not going to throw away the Worldwide Church of God completely, or the Jehovah's Witnesses, because we take what we want and we leave the rest. So what do you want to say?
Yeah, I just agree.
Okay.
Agree. Yep.
So this guy, Gerald, so the reason why he wrote this book is he was a very wealthy man. He had people said he's got everything anybody could ever want in life. And they wanted what he had. But he said, truthfully, I was not in peace. I had no inner peace at all, even though I had all the money in the world, and prestige and power and all of it. And he'd been married 19 years at the point that he was saying this. And then a tragedy happened and his wife left him. And all hell broke loose. And he started drinking, and his back was in pain all the time, that he felt was because of the guilt that he had, tremendous guilt for, failing the marriage, for failing his wife. And why would she leave me? But his life was in chaos, and he judged the world harshly. If anything went wrong in his life, he blamed the world. Everything's the world's fault, those people's fault, those stupid people, everything was blame, blame, blame. And he just was miserable. So he went to this group called Course in Miracles. And Dan and I have been in that group, and it's not that this is the part of it that I don't want to recommend it. I don't, but
Have you ever been to a Course in Miracles?
Gotcha. No.
So we're not recommending
Spiritual
it.
group.
It's just like another box in a weird kind of way. But there are wonderful things that this man has brought into the world that have been used by, when I got to reading, I'm like, man, did a lot of people take from this guy wonderful tools they got and have changed the world with it. So again, we can't just throw out the baby with the bathwater. We just can't. This guy has got some legitimate, powerful things to teach us, and even from his mistakes. and how he looked at things because of being in the Course in Miracles. He got what he needed in there, which was get his life turned around, where he, instead of looking at everything like the doctors do, which is your left brain thinking, oh no, not this again. Oh my gosh. Our cat last night was just all over the table, making everything shake and scratching at us and causing all kinds of grief. And like, not today. No, 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 no. Oh, so anyway, Dan's gonna get her out. It's actually a him. We found that out from the vet. It adopted us some time ago. Oh my gosh. Where were we at? So that he was a where was I at, Jessica? That he was a doctor. Oh yeah.
Right.
So he was a left brain kind of a guy. And meaning that everything is logic and reason. And back in the days when he was younger, it was a day when anything spiritual of any kind was not acceptable. Everything had to be proven by science. That's how it was like back in the 50s. And that's when he was growing up. So in the 70s, when his wife left him, it was beginning to be a little bit more acceptable to look at spiritual things. The 60s had gone by now, and we had gotten more free. So he found himself in A Course in Miracles, and what they're all about is that you have a choice between love and fear. And it's always our choice in any given moment. I agree with that. We do have to be in reality, because sometimes, everything's just not love, love, love. Like, tell me about what happened with Marcia with that one guy. All he was about, he was all about love, love, love. And she's like, no, no, no. Everything's not just love, love, love.
Yeah, this lady we know, she was very wealthy, and she had another home in San Diego, and she built this. It was a trailer, and she had added onto it and added onto it, made it really beautiful, really like a home within a trailer park. And the people started attacking her, saying she don't have permits. She really added value to this place. And her question was, what is love? What am I supposed to do with this? That these people are attacking me. And, so she realized that love was more than just, just being a pushover, being a this, love has to set boundaries. Love has to be strong. Love has to stand up, to people and all these different things. Because a guy came over and he brought this big book about that big, and it was all this love, and love is this. And if only we had the love of Christ, Jesus, and we could forgive everybody and all this stuff, but it had nothing to do with taking care of yourself or anything like that. So it was an interesting deal, but that's where I got finally that, wow, love is massive. Love is being whole, like if you're not able to set a boundary, and like they say, if you have a wheel on a car, that rolls, if you're missing boundaries, you're going to go kerclunk, kerclunk, kerclunk. If you don't have a voice, you're going to be in pain. If you can't stand up for yourself, if you can't say, hey, don't do that to me, if you can't do that, if your voice just shuts down and you keep tucking it down, you're not going to be very healthy. So love is saying no to falsehood. Love is saying no to abuse, and it doesn't seem pretty. In fact, when you first get your voice, it's not very pretty. A lot of times when people get their voice, they explode. They leave a relationship, they go crazy, but then it kind of comes back to equilibrium, where you're able to not say F you, but you say, don't do that. I mean it. You have a certain sense of yourself now. And those are all components that have to grow in us. I was going to read something about fear.
That's fine.
I wanted to read this about fear. This is one of my favorite books, one of them, but it's called Transcending Levels of Consciousness. And we probably talked about it before, by Dr. David Hawkins. But I was thinking about the Jehovah's Witnesses and the fear we were under. And here's what it says. Fear is a favored tool for control by oppressive totalitarian agencies. The proliferation of fear is as limitless as human imagination. Once one focuses on fear, the endless, fearful events of the world feed it. Fear becomes obsessive and takes on, i.e., fear, the loss of relationship leads to jealousy, chronic high stress levels. Fearful thinking can balloon into paranoia and generate neurotic defensive structures, because it is contagious and can become a dominant trend. I was thinking about that tool that the witnesses used on us. It was always fear of leaving, fear of Jehovah, fear of the world. The whole world's lying in this fear, the
Power of the wicked.
power of the wicked one. Fear yourself. I wish to do right, I do wrong. Fear the world. I'm going to be tempted. Fear. Now they've got fear. Watchtower is now using their imagination to create fear for the people because they're totalitarian, they're controllers, they're dictators. So the Watchtower is now running fire drills in the hall, saying, did you have your to-go bag? Get ready to leave your belongings. The assembly, the whole drama was on leave your belongings, leave everything behind, flee into the woods, and people are dying. And so it's an absolute tool that they use, but there's a way out of it. There's a way out of fear so that fear doesn't consume us, because I like some of the points it brought in there that what are we made of? What are thoughts made of? Where do they come from? We're consciousness. We're more than fear. We have hope. We have all these other aspects that we can tune into aside from fear. And I want to say too, he brought out that how fear was established in our souls, in our being, had to do with survival. In the beginning, we were survivalists. We had to survive. We had to eat. We had to have shelter. We had to get out of the rain. So part of that's normal, and part of it's exaggerated. And so the witnesses, look for anything, to bring out fear. A lot of your religious organizations, fear of this, fear of not believing in Jesus, fear of not, doing it right.
Whatever they can come up with. And also causing separation. So, what Gerald realized, because this doctor, that, he doesn't believe in separation. And well, he's dead now, but he did not believe in separation, and that we always at each moment can choose to not let this mind that is like, it's our ego. So here's how he likened it. And this is where everybody stole the idea. And I think it's very legitimate, that our mind is a whole bunch of reels. So reels in the movie industry are whole bunches of moments on videotape, is what the reels are. They're moments on videotape that we stored away like a storehouse of movies in our brain. And so our ego is always trying to keep us safe, is how Rhonda Britten says it. And this is basically what Gerald is saying, by reminding us of what has happened in the past that can now happen in the present, and showing us movie screens of that past as if it was the present, so that today's going to be this, oh my God, today's going to be the same as yesterday. This is what we're going to experience. So watch out, be careful. And she says, and he says, that's just really trying to protect us, which is you can look at it like, well, thank you, little self, but I don't choose that. Okay. I don't want to listen to that movie screen today. I don't want that, so your whole mind is this movie set where you even have the audience. The ego utilizes the whole thing, all the script writers, and they just have this whole thing going on. And what you're experiencing now is the screen, a blank screen, and you're literally allowing the ego mind, the present, to be written what you're going to experience in the next moment or the next or this day, because of this movie screen you're listening to or watching. It's very real. And this is the thing, the imagination is so powerful. And that's why the witnesses used all of those dramas to capture you, because they know that the films in the mind are just like that. So they're searing into your brain with the imagination. It's very vivid, and they can recall it now at any time. And so that you remember, oh yes, I better not answer the phone of my wayward son, because Jehovah is teaching him a lesson, and best that he just go down that road, even if he kills himself. That will not be, I'm obeying Jehovah. And that's the example. It's seared in your brain, that video of how you're to deal with that situation. So we have to say no to, thank you, that I know that you mean well to try to keep me safe from bad things that might happen to me today, but I don't choose that. So go bye-bye. I'm going to see today differently. And I'm going to see, oh my gosh, oh wow, what a beautiful day it is. It's blue sky. I didn't even realize. Oh, you know what? They're going to have a little party at my work today for Susie. Oh, this ought to be fun. You start thinking positive, what could happen. And you know what? I'm going to choose to believe that God is with me, and that I am going to have the dreams that I dream to do, that I do believe that God is guiding and directing me to do something today towards that dream, and I'm going to look for it. And whatever thought he puts in my head, I'm going to make that phone call. I'm going to move that dream forward. I'm going to do it. I'm not just going to I'm just stuck in my past is going to control my future forever and ever and ever. And this is what he was bringing out, that at every moment that we have choices. And he said in this one point, it's so cute. He said that I'm going to have an absolutely perfectly inner peace day with absolute peace all day long. And it's like a one-liner at the end of this one chapter. I'm like, okay, life doesn't work like that. Okay. And dude, it's like, okay, you can make up your mind that that's what you're going to do, but I'm going to assure you, the enemy, your ego self is going to make sure that's messed up somehow. And you just got to flow with it. You know, I really, truly do believe, and I've said this to people before, but I really do believe that it's not just that what a shitty hand I've been dealt in my life. It's that I believe we have lived past lives. And so we have planned out this particular little excursion on earth with God. And so it says in the Bible that every day was written in God's book and ordained before one of them came to be. And I don't think it was a dictator saying, this is what you're going to experience. And this is what, no, we said, this is what's best for my soul. This is the way I'm going to learn the best. And these are the lessons. Okay, we're agreed. Okay, go for it. Good luck. And then down we come and we go through this process. So it's not meant to be this perfectly bed of roses of inner peace. So one guy that Dan and I both like, and Dan especially is read. His works is Dr. David Hawkins, R. Hawkins, as you guys know. And he was also a psychiatrist, and he took on all of the, he's an empath, took on the diseases of everybody. Well, so did this guy. This guy, same thing. He didn't realize it, but he was maybe he did, I don't know, but he was an empath. And he took on the world, and the chaos got so horrible for him that he felt like he was in a prison, and he didn't know how to get out of it. And he got cynical and negative, and he didn't know how to get out of it, to the point that no one could stand him anymore. It was the same with Dr. Hawkins. Same exact thing happened. So just like Dr. Hawkins, who then wanted inner peace, and he wanted to isolate, and he didn't want to be with people, and he started getting into the bliss by meditating. And same with this guy. He learned about meditation. He learned about all these different things. And he decided that, you know, I'm just going to kind of check out, and I'm just going to make up my mind. I'm going to live in inner peace all day long. No one's going to stop me. Well, guess what? You're going to just get mad. You're going to get frustrated, because that is not the plan. The plan is lessons, learning. We learn by what we suffer. It doesn't stick unless we suffer. And so we have to accept the good with the bad, and we're going to shoot for the best day we can with inner peace. And what he suggests to get to inner peace is through forgiveness. And it's not just forgiveness of others, it's forgiveness of self. And like, for example, he had to forgive himself that he failed his marriage in his way of looking at it. The guilt and the shame was intense for him, but he had to keep continuously letting it go and saying, no, compassion for self, compassion for others. Am I an idiot? Am I the dumb person? I used to call everyone stupid and dumb and, you know, not using their brain. They're just kooky because they do this religious spirituality stuff. And, you know, I'm beyond that. And now he's realizing, oh my God, you know, so he's starting to try to embrace other people and have a positive view of them and not judge them. And God bless him, but he had been an empath, and it made him sick. So he was tempted to go into meditation all the time. You know, I only want inner peace. And so he worked on forgiveness, which is beautiful, towards other people and himself. And, but what I saw, what he did was, we have to not take on the responsibility of everybody else's lives. Like, for example, there are certain people in our lives who are hurting us still very badly and on purpose. That's their choice, and it's not my choice, but I can't control them, and I can't stop them, and I can't let it ruin my day either, because they're just going to do what they're going to do. And I've got to just kind of flow with that and let them have that choice. And it might mean that they can't be in my life because now they're too toxic. And again, I didn't choose it. but I do choose to not live my life in toxicity and abuse. I do. And so I have to detach. And so we're tempted sometimes to isolate when these things go on. And you want to speak to that in any way? Any thoughts come
I
to
was
your
just going to
mind?
say, have you ever experienced that yourself where you felt like your consciousness has shifted and the people around you, maybe that you used to hang around with, didn't shift and you didn't really know what to do? Have you ever experienced that where like you've changed and they haven't? I'll just give you an example. I had a lady that was kind of my mentor, and I didn't know it at the time. I'm speaking now from 20 years, but she was very refined. She had a beautiful home, very wealthy, nice cars, and she kind of took me on as a friend. And she was married. And when she met me, I came over there and I had like 2 beers and hey, I was kind of like this, right out of the witnesses, right? You know what I mean? And I came over to her house and she's like, well, do you want to go to that Science of Mind church, that New Age church? And I was like, yeah. And so I got in her car and I'm racing her car. And she's like, are you in a, you can imagine, I look at her face. She's like, oh, and I'm racing, and she's like, why are you racing? Why are you going fast? Slow down. We don't have to hurry, but I wasn't refined. I was just in this, this kind of thing. And then she started setting boundaries. She's like, I'm here for you. I will never call you, she said, but if you call me, I'm willing to work with you. I'm willing to sit down with you. Like when I went over there, it was like this. It was like, she'd set down pencils and a piece of paper and she'd say, what do you want to talk about today? And one day I came over there, I drank. I wasn't drunk. I just had a couple beers. And she's like, don't ever come to my house after you've drank. I'm like, whoa. Yeah, and I'm like, at first, you're thinking BITCH, you're like, you bitch, but I didn't realize the refinement. And today I'm kind of that way a little bit, I don't want all that energy around me. I don't like cons around me. I don't like people who use me around me. I don't like people who think they can get over or narcissistic people. I just
It's funny, Dan and I both have that issue. Maybe you do too, Jessica. And so, it's funny, but what you resist persists. And I think that the reason why it's bothered me so much to be around people that con me, use me, betray me, trick me, make me feel stupid is because that's what I experienced in the past. And I don't want to experience that in the future. I'm fearful of that. And see, here we go again with that fear, right? So I want to avoid it, but all it does is draw more of the same to me. I'm seeing it now until I can finally just say, you know what? It's not my problem.
and it
Um,
and it's okay. You don't have to fix it. We have a friend in South Carolina, and they've got a very large house, a 5-bedroom house, and
XJW too, right?
yeah, XJW, really nice community. They both left, they married, and they just wanted everybody else to have what they have. You've probably experienced that. I want to tell people how we got where we're at so we can help them, but most people aren't of the consciousness to want to learn. They want a piece of it, but they really don't want to learn. So these people had to learn the hard way. They were in a restaurant one morning and they saw this lady struggling, and they're like, hey, we want to help you. You're working so hard here in this restaurant. So they took her in. And when they took her in, they said, all we ask is, don't smoke, don't do this, don't do that. And anyway, right away, they smelled smoke coming upstairs. She had her head out the window, and and the next thing you know, they put her stuff outside.
Was it a pot even too?
Yeah, there was some drugs, there were some things in there, and they're like, no, 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 and so, but
they're purists pretty much too. So
oh God,
yeah,
fundamentalist Christian,
no, not these people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like an
Yeah.
FC and
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
So, but anyway, so what is the way out of it? This is what a quick point I want to make. One of my other favorite books I've showed you before is Eye of the Eye. And he talks a lot about consciousness, like fear is an attractor field. Codependency is an attractor field where I feel I got to save the world. All these things are attractor fields. So he breaks down as a psychologist how to transcend them. Here's one of the lines I wanted to read to you about consciousness. He says, what one witnesses in the world of human events is neither right nor wrong, but the acting out of the energy field of consciousness as they impinge and express through a particular individual under a specified condition, time, and place. In actuality, people really can't help being other than they are. If they could be different, they would. Now, that is something to keep in mind and hold forever. A person in the level of consciousness that says a user, right? You feel somebody's using you or something. That's not like an attack on you. That's not you're stupid. They're going to take advantage of you. That's their level of consciousness. Like Angela says, you got to separate them from you. But they're acting out of a level of consciousness that has consequences, right? A user, you know, people throw them out. They get tired of them. Don't you use me? They're getting in fights with everybody all the time. They think they're intelligent, cute, smart, and they get in a lot of trouble. And so what Dr. Hawkins says is if they could do better, they would. They're in that level, but that doesn't mean you're responsible for that or that you can't take care of yourself in that. But what you're not going to do is become a victim of that consciousness, because in consciousness, there's anger. There's very angry people that would scare you to death. There's abusiveness. There's depressed people. There's sad people. I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I'm pissed off. You know, there's all these, and you can live in that. You can live in those attractor fields for the rest of your life. They call them attractor fields, being a victim. A man comes up, you know, is ready to tell you a story. You have no idea. You have no idea. That was my brother. You have no idea, Danny, the pain I'm in. You have no idea. And he had multiple sclerosis. But I know a lot of people who've had multiple sclerosis that didn't act like that. But he got sympathy from giving that story. Now, most people, a healthy person, wouldn't want to be around a victim, wouldn't want to be around that energy field. Not that you hate it, or not that you know, despise the person. You just realize that they're under the influence of the field itself, but they can transcend it in the way, say you transcend,
We all can.
the way you transcend a victim consciousness is you get tired of the payoff of sympathy. See, sympathy is a horrible price. Let me tell you how bad I feel. And then somebody says, oh man, Dan, that's really tough, man. I really feel sad. And that's all you get. You look for the next person. Hey, come here, man. Let me tell you how bad life sucked as a Jehovah's Witnesses. Let me tell you how bad it was, man, how bad we had it. We didn't celebrate Christmas. We didn't, oh my God. And you can make that your whole story the rest of your life. So Dr. Hawkins, in a lot of his books, Transcending Levels of Consciousness, breaks down these energy fields.
Yeah, and
he breaks them down. And he says, this is an energy field. He has a discussion. Here's what fear looks like. It's like discussion, dialogue. Here's a possible solution. And I love that because I had to get out of those fields. I lived in the fear.
I bet she did too.
I lived in fear of abandonment. I lived in fear of running out of money. I lived in fear that, you know, I had tons of
But you're in
fears.
Jehovah's world
And
now.
so I had to
Wait,
say,
Satan's world now. I'm sorry, you know.
yeah. So as I read some of the things in his book, he's like, okay, take fear of losing your job, you know? So what if you lost your job? Well, if I lost my job, I might not be able to pay my bills. If I don't pay my bills, I'll lose my house. If I lose my house, I might be on the street. If I'm on the street, I might not have money or food. And he says, he said, but follow it all the way to the end. Follow it all the way to the end, and then get to the end and say, so the worst thing would be is I would be on the street with a blanket, and I'd maybe have to go to a food bank or a shelter, but there would be a place for me. It wouldn't be the end of the world. And so actually I knew a guy who was homeless, Tolle, and he said it wasn't a bad thing not to have your cell phone. He said, I actually took a break for a while. He said, I was out there, I get comfortable in a little place by a tree. And he said, I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have to answer to anybody. I didn't have to think about how I was going to pay the bills. He said it was kind of like a little retreat. So Dr. Hawkins, one of the things in his book was to take the fear and take it all the way to its end, you know, and then from the end, work back the other way. And they've said that in a lot of different books. What's the worst thing that could happen? You've probably heard that. What's the worst thing that could happen? And so I love those
Yeah, it
strategies.
kind of breaks down the fear, doesn't it? Because then, you know, you even know what you'll do in the worst case scenario. You even have kind of a plan. Well, I'll go to the rescue mission and, you know, you kind of break it down, what could happen.
And in the midst of it all too, how did you get here? You didn't get here on your own. You're not here by yourself. You were knitted together in the womb by an invisible essence. You were intended here by somebody at this time. You were placed into the seed of your mother. You know, you were intended here. So that's another thing, right? We're not alone here. So these are all things you reflect on, and you have consciousness, and you have thinking ability, and you have survival mechanisms, and you have all these things that are going to be between where you are now, the fear, and being homeless on the street.
What do you think, Jessica?
And
Do
grace.
you have any experiences you want to, you don't want to take up all of it. I bet you have something you want to say about all of it, or some experience, or something you've learned, or something you've overcome, or.
I do agree with Daniel. We can, or we sometimes we do live in that like victim state, you know. Sometimes we're looking for comfort or others to just, you know, say something maybe meaningful to us at that moment because we're feeling pain. But if we constantly live in that state, we're not really healing. We're just living in that state, and it's not taking us anywhere. And just reliving the pain, the situation we're in is just, we're not really living life. And it's hard. You get tired of it. It's very tiring. And yes, I mean, I do miss my family. I miss my parents. I miss my nieces, my nephews, my sisters. But would I really want to go back to an organization that I no longer believe, you know, just to be able to see my family? I couldn't do that. That's something I just couldn't do. So yeah, we have to change the way we think, and you know,
It's a balancing juggling act, isn't it? Because, you know, it's a real situation with real grief, real disappointments, real pain, you know, but then we've got to not let our minds rule where it's taking us down in the pit of hell into depression and depression medications and all that, because we're letting it rule and trying to keep our head focused on what is good, because in any given day, there's always something good to reflect on. And at every given moment, we can choose where we're going to focus my time on thinking about what my mother just said to me, or what she just did to me, or am I going to think about what it is that I got to get done to make this goal and a reality that I'm working on, or think about some positive thing in my yard that I need. Oh, I'm going to go out and weed those, but oh my gosh, those beautiful flowers. I'm going to get out there and get in the sunshine. And, you know, you can't think both at the same time. So we're always having to choose every moment which thought we're going to entertain. And so we can any moment switch to the more positive side of things, and you know, seeing the world like, who's that one guy? Einstein said that you got to choose whether the universe is for you or against you. I have that on my refrigerator because my worldview has always been that the world is bad and evil and against me, and I don't like it, and I'm fearful of it, and it's gonna not give me what I want, and I'm gonna have to fight to get for what I want. And it's just these kind of attitudes. And it's like, wait a minute, there's also God in this universe, and he is the creator of this universe, and he's also here, and there's also angels here, and there's other kind of helps here as well. And I believe in those helpers that are here. And I believe that when I speak out something from my voice, that something is attending to it and beginning the process of creating it. And whether I can see it or not, I believe it's beginning. And the more I feed into that dream, the more that all of heaven is conspiring to bring that about. Because I have dreamed it. God gave me that dream, who lives within me. And so I can focus on that, which is maybe my own reality, maybe, you know, call it unreality, whatever, but I'm creating. And, you know, Dan and I, we have been knocked down and knocked down and knocked down about trying to get a movie made out of a book that we've written, in 2005, I think it came out. And it's Jan's journey out of the Jehovah's Witnesses and exactly how that all happens. Very inspirational. It's very wonderful. And we have just been through the mill trying to get it out. And it's very tempting just to say, after all that money and all that failure, just forget it. God must not be for it, right? It's like, no, we know absolutely he put it in our hearts to do it because it is a glory to God kind of a movie, and it's gonna be perfect to help. And we're learning. So, but we are learning. So we just keep on. Okay, what would you have us to do next? So we did another venture, and then it seems to be failing, but it motivated us to do the next thing, which now I feel very sure doesn't matter if it's like the next step.
It's a massive success.
It motivated me to say, okay, fine. If you're not going to give me what I want, then I'm going to get it myself. And then that led to this other guy that it's like, it's perfect. I wouldn't have been motivated and had the heart I do had I not been through all of that. So it is going to get it done. I can already tell the inspiration, the kick in the butt that made me just, okay, fine. I will do more work then. It's like, I will not take no as an answer, or as defeat. And who is that guy, Dan? We are the champions. And let's see, he's a wrestler, that movie. He went a million times to all the producers saying that I want to be the actor.
Oh, Sylvester Stallone.
So yeah, what's the name of the movie?
Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky Balboa. And but he said that he gave up everything, including his beloved dog, because he had no food and he was, and anyway, all of a sudden somebody said, yep, we'll do it. And finally, he got to be the actor in his own movie, a powerful movie, and he tried to get his dog back. It cost him the whole amount of money that he got from that movie, the first half anyway, to get his dog back, because the guy's like, no, I will not give him back. He's mine now, and I don't care what money. I love this dog. But he did get it back, but it cost him everything on the first end of the movie. And great guy, but he wouldn't take no for an answer. And it just builds character and resilience and trust, and don't give up on your dreams. And so many things are built from the difficulties we've been through to make this happen. But we just say, okay, what, Lord, don't let us be so discouraged and downtrodden that we don't try anymore. Please give us some strength to keep going forward in a forward direction. We believe that you've given us this to do, and we will do it. But now what? And then we just do that. And now I'm so encouraged because here I'm hopeful again. And however many times we got down the pit and then back up again, and however many times, so be it. I am learning. And so it's kind of one of those things where it's choice, right? I can choose to give up. I can choose to see the world sucks, the universe is against me, or I can choose that God's going to use all of this for good. And he promises to, for those that love him, he will turn everything you would do as your mistake for good. So regardless, if I screwed up, he's going to turn it for good somehow. And I can already see how he's going to turn our last mistake into something good already. And I don't know, it's all an interweaving that we don't understand, like a tapestry that we don't understand that's being built, that it was planned, and we're all kind of part of it.
Yeah, and I want to say too, what you were describing earlier about those feelings. We were told that just allow those feelings to come in. You know what I mean, that she has toward her family and stuff. That's totally normal.
Yes.
And victim is a sickness, but thinking about, your family and missing your family, that's not being sick. It becomes a disease as it becomes grotesque. You know what I'm saying? Like my teacher, when I started telling a story, she started to see that I was making the story my whole life. She was wise, and she says, "Oh my God, he's turning into a victim. He's so excited about telling a story." So two things happened. One thing that happened was my teacher looked at me and validated me. She put her hand on my shoulder and said, Dan, I hear you. I'm very sorry. And that is very painful. And it's horrible. I'm sorry. And I said, oh, thank you, Marcia. And then she looked at me dead square in the eye and she said, do you want to get well?
But do you want to get
well? And I thought, what the hell does that mean? Get well. You mean I'm not well, And she said, if you want to get well, you're going to have to eventually, you know, leave that story behind. And so anyway, long story short, I might have told you before, I went into that inner child journey, and I couldn't wait to tell my story. And so I told my story, and, you know, and I got all the sympathy and, you know, huggings and all this, but there was 300 people in there. The 300 people had stories that were 100 times worse than mine. I mean, women getting raped, and when I heard the crying in the room and the wailing and the disconnection with God and religious experiences and preachers and pastors and dads raping kids and daughters, and I was like, I don't have a story anymore. And right there, I was able to leave the story behind. I was like, oh my God, I see what Marcia was saying, that the story can become the whole thing. And I actually had a miracle happen. I might have told you at my brother's funeral. I was invited to the online funeral for my younger brother, who was a witness, and all my uncles were heavy duty witnesses, right? The miracle that happened was that I saw the mental illness in them. Instead of me wanting to be in their graces or them to accept me, I saw them as the sickness that Watchtower created.
It was like an online funeral is what it was.
They all my family was there. They all had the whitest hair. They all had this serious look. You know, my uncle was like bent over now, you know, and he was like, Danny, you know, everything was slow motion. Danny, did you come back to Jehovah? You know, and then it would go over to my cousins, who I haven't seen since they were this big. They were gray, old, accents, Southern accents, and they're grinning, you know, and I'm going, oh my God, you know, my brother was on there, and I looked at him, and he was slow, and I got into it, you know, with him about following men and the governing body. And I never left Jehovah. I just left those men. But what I saw was the sickness that Watchtower created. And recently I saw a picture of my brother, my oldest brother, his presiding overseer, with a beard. And he looked like a 5-year-old. He's older than me. He looked like a 5-year-old. He's got this beard on. He's looking like this. And it's like his tongue's out. And he's grinning. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, he's a vegetable. You know, like there's nobody home. Like you're 67 years old, and they're telling you can have a beard. They're telling women they can wear pantsuits. I mean, I was furious. I was furious at the organization. I wanted them out. I did a couple of videos. You know, I was so mad. You know, I did whiteboards. These whiteboards I do. I was so mad. Like I have another video coming out. I'm going to do another one. I'm furious because I don't like what these men are doing, these totalitarian dictators, narcissists, you know. And
See, that's where you don't want to go into the bliss or go into the, I'm going to live in inner peace. It's like, you know, you have to follow your heart on what you've gotten. Dan got help. I got help. And now you naturally want to say, God, what can I do to help now that I've been helped? And when you go to the 12-step groups to try to get healthy and get your stuff worked out, your emotions and your forgivenesses and all of these things, they have you promise that when you get all better, that you will go out and you will help others to get their help and their freedom. And so, but you want to naturally, you can't really help it. But it is a juggling. It's like you can't just go into the bliss and I'm going to forever be in inner peace, and I'm going to isolate from this crazy effed up world that's out to get me and take advantage of me and steal from me and betray me. I don't want anything to do
or
with
be
it.
just angry at the governing body the rest of your life.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's like a juggling act. You know what I mean? You got to do a little of this, and you got to do, you know, you have to do some of that meditation, and you have to do a little bit of that isolating, because not isolating, but I'm not going to allow this in my life anymore, which means you have some isolation, and like you do in how you're experiencing the loneliness. But it's like, I guess we have to be thankful that at least we're not in that mental illness. We're not in that crazy life anymore. And there's good with the bad, right? There's always good with the bad. And we have to accept both the good and the bad, because that's what life is. But it was funny in this Gerald's thing, he has this little illustration of a million things that we all have to juggle all the time. It's a cute thing. So he says, I got to be sex. I got to have sex appeal, and I got to be in society, and I got to get a good job, and got to have nice clothing, and I've got to have a nice home, and I've got to, you know, live a long life. So I gotta, do everything I can to stay, young, and I gotta have a fancy car. And oh yeah, I gotta have peace of mind, and I gotta have my health, and I want to travel. Yeah. I gotta travel. And, oh, I gotta get money. I gotta get money. And oh yeah, love. Gotta have love. And so to him, it's like love and peace of mind is the most important thing. And so to him, he says this: juggling can only serve to deflect our focus and increase our conflict. I'm like, uh-oh, that's not right thinking right there. That's what's hard about reading this book, is that you can't just, it's like being in the Jehovah's Witnesses, right? They feed you this stuff, comes in your brain, and usually it just goes in one ear and out the other. You don't even consider that this statement right here is wrong. You know what I mean? Juggling can only serve to deflect our focus and increase our conflict. We can achieve consistency in keeping this goal and this single goal in mind, which is that I want peace of mind, and reminding ourselves of the singleness of purpose we would have if we suddenly found ourselves drowning in the ocean. We would, in this situation, put all of our attention into the single goal of staying afloat and breathing for survival. I agree, that is what we would do if we were out in the ocean, but we're in the ocean of life, and we do have to juggle. We can't just say, I'm going to have inner peace, and this is just a deflection of what I really want. So I don't, so it's like saying, I don't want to juggle. I just don't want to juggle. I'm just going to zone out. I'm going to sit on a park bench, and I'm going to, be in inner peace and bliss, and I'm going to bliss out. I'm not going to, be entangled with this crap in life. No, it, like Dan is being led to do, I've got to speak. I've got to juggle. I've got to do a little of this and a little of that, and a little meditation, and a little of being out in nature, and a little bit of risking, and a little bit, all these different juggling act that we have to do. And so it's never, we think this life should be perfect, but we were never promised a rose garden when we came here. The church has taught us that this world should be perfect, and it's not, and it never will be. Maybe not the Jehovah's Witnesses so much. They believe the paradise was coming, but a lot of the other religions that you'll ever go and visit, they try to tell you that everything should be perfect here with your family. Family's everything, they'll say, things like that. And it should be perfect, and it's not reality at all. In fact, Jesus even said that your enemies would be those of your own household. Hello, how more clear can you get? He said that I did not come to bring peace, but a sword between these, and he named all these family members, situations, mother-in-law and father-in-law, and mother and father and daughter, and he named all these family relationships. He was very specific, because we have to choose. Do I choose to follow men and put my trust in mortals, my mother, my father, my pastor, whoever, my lead, my elders? Or do I put my trust in God? And so we're having to choose. Am I going to stay forever under my mother's wing and obey her every whim, or the elders? Or am I going to let go of that and choose God? Well, when I do that, choosing God, there's going to be a sword. It's going to cut that relationship off. And it said that if you don't choose a right, that that we have to choose right. And if we don't, then we're not even worthy of God's kingdom. If we don't, we have to choose this in these situations, or you're not worthy of the kingdom. So what is the kingdom? The kingdom is inner peace within. So we will not have inner peace within if we don't choose the right choice. It's just going to be, we're going to be misery, or we're going to be all so gently and lovingly led in the direction of inner peace. So I'm having to come to peace with that. The choices that my mom is making, the choices that my whatever relative is making, are not my choice. I can't change it. I can't fix it. I'm not responsible to. I should not force my way. She's trying to force her way on me, but I choose to not force my way on her. And I just simply have to realize that that is a situation, a toxic situation that I can't really fix. And I have to say, I'm not going to be a part of that. And that's not my choice. My choice is to not be in the toxic situation, but I can't change anyone else. And Gerald says that too. You can't change anyone else. You can only change you. And you, every moment we have given choices on how we're going to deal with everything. And we just do the best we can. And that's why he says we got to be compassionate towards ourselves, and love ourselves, and forgive ourselves. a lot of forgiving ourselves. And as we forgive ourselves, we automatically start forgiving everyone else, just saying, hey, you know what? They're doing the best they can. And I was once in their shoes. I was once doing that crazy stuff they're doing. And how could I judge when did I forget? Hello, hello. Did I forget where I came from? Don't do that, Angela. Remember, give him some grace. And I like this one other thing that Gerald Jampolsky had. It was this idea of joining. So this is kind of how the joining worked. It's like when we come to the standpoint of understanding the other person's point of view, which is because we choose to, instead of judge them and be critical of them and hate them and we're fearful of them, whatever, we realize that, like I in my past, just doing the best he can. He doesn't know how else to be. And oh my gosh, this is mean and cruel and horrible and it's scary and I don't want to be in this situation, but he's doing the best he can. Okay, I forgive you. I remember I was once in your shoes. Okay. And then, so he had the situation. I'll just give you the example of it. So he was working at a psychiatric hospital where I think that was his hospital, maybe even. And he had this really crazy guy who was in the lockdown ward, and he had schizophrenia really bad, and he hadn't been taking his medication. And everybody calls him and says, "You got to get down here. You got to get down here. This guy, he's ripped apart the frame on the door, and now he's got the frame, and the nails are sticking out of it, and he's like got it in his hand like a weapon, and it's really scary. And we can't go in there. Please come down here and help us." So he goes down there. He goes like, a Holy Spirit, and the Course in Miracles, everything's about Holy Spirit. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? This is really scary. And everybody's like, "We're behind you, Doc. We're behind you. We're right behind you." And they're all stacked up behind him. Like, what is he going to do? What is he going to do? And so he says, okay, I got to come to the standpoint of the other guy. Okay, what's going on with him? It's a call to love or a need for love. He's offering love, or he's asking for a call for love. And he's fearful. Okay. Everything's fear or love. He's in fear. Okay. All right. So what do I gotta do? I gotta let him know how I'm feeling. And so he says, "George, I'm scared. I'm really scared right now." And this is the doctor speaking. And he goes, "Are you scared? I'll bet you're scared too, huh?" And he just kept on trying to like reason with him and he kept on saying it. I'm scared. I don't want you to hurt me. And I want to help, but I'm scared. And he just kept going down this road and finally the guy started softening. His mind got clearer and clearer. And he's like, "Look, I'm your friend and I really do want to help, but I want to come in there and I want to even, give you a hug, whatever I could do. But I'm scared. Are you scared? Are you scared too?" "Yeah, damn right. I'm scared," he says. And so anyway, he started coming to his senses and he let this guy in and they had a good talk. And he says, you know how it is when you don't take your medication, it gets weird. And look, we're going to do everything we can to get you off, but for right now you need it. No. So he took his medication right in there. And then things started turning around. But he said that when that happens, then what's happened is you come to the standpoint of the other side and you join. He calls it joining. And so in life, we're trying to come to the standpoint of the other person and realize that we're all one to a certain degree. We all came from God, as Greg Braden has pointed out, in this weird web way that's in science now. We are all connected to each other, whether we want to believe it or not. So we are connected. But when you make up your mind to not be in judgment and criticalness and all of that, and you come to the standpoint of the other side, you kind of meld in the middle and you understand that there's this joining that happens, and love can now come in, and safety and growth and everything good, but we have to join. So I like this idea of joining because people who are good peacemakers are really good at finding the common ground and complimenting the people and making them open, so that then there can be a joining of minds and hearts, so that things can get done and where we can all grow and improve. So then, he felt that he grew and they both grew. In this other situation he had where this guy came and showed up right when he was exhausted. He had this crazy long day. And the guy was outside right when he's just, "Oh, I can't wait to lay my head on the pillow. Oh my God," late at night. And the guy says, I flew all the way in here from this other country to see you. And he goes, what? And he goes, yeah, I had to see you. And he goes, okay, well, could it wait till tomorrow? I'm so exhausted. And he goes, okay. And he said he looked really frumpled and dirty and greasy and not kempt. It was just really like it's like okay, stop judging, don't judge. You came from a long way away. Don't get critical. Okay, so goes home, goes to bed, gets there the next morning. There's the guy. Okay, so let's what do you want to talk about? I don't know. What? You came all the way here from another country and you don't know what you want to talk about? No, I just needed to see you. I just needed to see you. And he goes, I don't really know. He goes, well, I'll tell you what, let's sit down here. Let's meditate. We're going to sit down here. We're going to meditate on what it is you came here to ask me, because he can't remember. And so they just sat there, and all of a sudden, Holy Spirit comes in and says, he just needed to, he saw you, and he knew that you had such deep love, and it was real. And he needed to know that love is real, and that he just wants to be accepted. And he saw that you accepted people, and he came here to see if it was real. And he goes, oh my gosh. And so he said to the guy, I know why you're here. And he tells him, and he just started crying. And he goes, yeah, that's it. That's it. I just needed for once in my life to feel accepted just the way I am. And I knew you're that man. You can accept me the way that I am. And so they had a big old long talk. And then they hugged, they bonded, they joined and cried. And the doctor said he learned, and he knew the other guy learned. They both learned together. And they parted ways with the most tender, loving moment he's almost ever had. And all because he took the time to come to the standpoint of the other side, be willing to join and not judge, and forgive the other guy for being so dirty and discombobulated in his mind that he can't even figure out why he's there, and not judge and be critical, but to try to understand. And so I don't know, there's a whole lot more. I think I might need to do part 2, because there's so much to this book. But there, you got to take what you want and leave the rest, because even though I don't agree with him thinking that you got to bliss out and forget all of this responsibility stuff and all this, yeah, I agree with some of that. Okay. But we can't just drop out of society. We have to take responsibility and juggle. We do the good and the bad. And we got to forgive ourselves when we don't do it right one day, when we completely blow it, and be kind and forgive ourselves. And that's that's some of what I've been bringing up. So that's
good.
Yeah.
That's really good. I was just going to ask, how are you guys getting along now that you've been out? How long have you been out now of the witnesses?
It's been over 3 years already. Yeah.
How you guys doing? Are you finding it hard to kind of find community? I know you guys are out in Wyoming, kind of more
Utah.
Utah.
Utah. Yeah, a
Is it,
small town in
Oh
Utah.
yeah, I remember now.
is it
Oh
hard to,
shoot, we were gonna go see you on our
well,
way
we went
back.
another route. We went up through Durango because we had to stop
Oh,
our sisters in Vail, so we didn't go down 80,
That's right. That's
Highway
right.
80.
And then we came back sick. We were
oh
traveling.
no.
We were sick, but we made it.
So how is it out there for finding community? Are you finding some friends? I know it's hard when you come out of this big party we were in as Jehovah's Witnesses and everybody's house and going out in service. So how you guys adjusting to all that? Just curious.
Well, yeah, basically, you lose all the people that you used to have contact with, even, everybody within the organization no longer speaks to us. But I do work at a school, and I have a lot of friends there.
Thanks.
I have I feel like it's a great community here where you can really just expand. And if you're really wanting to look for friends, there's a lot of places you can go. I've been going to places like a place that they have here for like meditation or sound healing and things like that. And then, like I said, at school, I work with as an intervention aide, and I work directly with the Spanish teacher, and we get along pretty well. And then there's other Spanish teachers that I also have a good, I would say, like an okay, relationship with. It's not like we're not super close, but I mean, I have people that I can, reach out to and stuff like that. But I do want to say that when Angela mentioned or said that, how you guys been going through, let's say, I would put it as kind of like struggles, right? With like getting this movie out. And the first thing that came to mind was like, you guys are gonna get that movie out
No,
because
thank you, Jessica.
yes, because I feel that we have to raise this awareness. There is a lot of people out there feeling the same way I am feeling, you know, in a way, lonely because they're not able to have that contact with their family, with the people that should show the most love. They are the ones that are hurting you. And I feel that this movie is is going to be something great for all those people.
I love
Yeah.
hearing it. I love it. Thank you for saying those words.
Yeah,
And
something,
yes, because it's important to raise awareness and expose the JWs because I just feel like that's a form of control. What they're doing is a form of control
Yeah.
yeah,
to keep people in because I follow a support group. It's an ex-JW support group on Facebook, and I saw a girl mention on there that she did not believe in any of the JW's teachings, but she wanted to go back because of her family, to get her family back. So a lot of people are just going back just to have that contact with their family, but they don't agree with the teachings. So I feel that a lot of people is in the same position,
yeah.
Oh,
as
yeah.
I am. There's just so many people out there, and I feel that the movie that you're talking about, I know it's going to be great. I just feel that it's going to be a hit. It's going to be great, and you guys are going to
I
be
agree.
able
We
to.
want to reach more of an audience. I mean, we go online and some of our videos are 20,000, but with a movie, you can reach millions. And people, one of the themes in our movie, underlying themes, has to do not only with Jehovah's Witnesses, but other religions. Are you in a box? Are you in a controlled box? Do you only have to believe this way and everyone else has to be edges out? And the movie's going to flirt with the idea that going to put the idea in the people's mind. What if I'm wrong? What if this little idea that I have, Christianity or Jehovah's Witnesses or worldwide, yeah. What if there's something bigger outside? Did you ever watch the movie Eat, Love, Pray?
No.
You got to watch that. That's a good one because the lady has to risk. She has security. She has this wealthy husband, but life is normal in a regular family. As a woman's second, a woman's there for sex. It wasn't that gross, but it just looked like a dominant man and the subjective woman. And the woman starts to think, this is the part I got out of it. She starts to think, is there something else outside of this accepted norm that women just have to be a part of these household? You know what I'm saying? But she has the courage, and you're sitting there because it just shows a scene of her crying in the bathroom, and she has to have the courage now to say, "I'm going to start on this adventure." And
Yeah,
so,
and really the cry in the bathroom was a blubbering, snotty, deep soul. I can't do it anymore. The deep, dark moment of the soul. And either you're going to listen to the call of the soul or you're not. And I remember one time my soul spoke to me and I didn't know what was happening. But it said this, it said, no, I want to live. That was the thought. And I'm like, whoa, what was that? And where did that come from? But it came from the depth of my being. And somehow it gave me strength to begin trying to live. And from that moment forward, I began to try to live. And then I did. And I within a year, I met Dan. But it went down pretty dark, even from there. But I decided, I agreed. My will said, okay with it, I guess. I want to live. Okay, so we got to start putting one foot in front of the other then. And we got to do something constructive to help do something that makes a difference in the world. So I took my husband's music and I went by myself into this little mountain community. I took all the equipment and everything and set up in a bookstore that they let me come set up his music and played it on the recording device I had. And it was a windy, cold, freezing, brutal day. And I had to park far away. And I had to make all these trips into the store and upstairs and then down and out and over to the parking lot and back and forth, and then put it all back away again when I was all done. But people saw my determination, and I think I sold, 5 CDs that day, which was, that was so kind of them. It was great music, but I was a mess. You could probably see it in my eyes that I was mentally ill, but I was trying to make a difference, to do something to help this world. And so that was what I chose to do that was one of the first things I did after, I just thought, I don't want to live anymore, but my soul thought different. So that soul cry is real, and we all have to answer it or don't. Like you said, Jessica, we could choose to go back, but then what happens to the soul? It just dies. So then you're just simply
The
a
walking dead.
robot, a walking dead, because you're just going through the motions.
And you're wide awake, saying this ain't real, this ain't true. And so that lady, the beautiful thing was, it was not that she broke up or did her own thing, but she does risk, she does go out and explore, and she goes into everything, Buddhism, Hinduism.
Yeah, and eat, pray, love that lady.
Yeah, she just goes out and says, I'm going to turn over these rocks and see what life's all about. And she ends up finding love and different things.
Romance.
So we told them we wanted our movie based on that it would encourage people to say, I wonder if I'm in a box. My God, this guy was in a box and it was so real.
I wonder if I should listen to my soul.
It came out of the Bible, but his soul said there was something. And then when I told the guy the other day, the producer was just outside of those belief systems, those infrastructures of belief system, there wasn't one world, there was a million worlds, a million that I could choose. I could choose a million paths. When I get out of this thing, I could be Buddhist, I could be Hindu, I could be nothing, I could be atheist, I could be a millionaire, I could be, once those belief system vanished, then I saw the boxes. I looked back and I saw, I'm a Christian, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Wang Pao Buddhist, I'm a Zen Buddhist, and the truth of it is we're made in God's image. There's infinite possibilities for each one of us. And so that's what me and Angela want to put out there, right? That's one of the things, that there's infinite possibilities, and you might be just in a limitation. I'll say it like that. I won't judge them or.
Yeah, because in this book, one of the other things that just brought up something that he said was that we have these lenses based on these reels that are stacked in our brains that our ego brings to the present, trying to remind us of the past to keep us safe so that we stay stuck, right? So he says, now our job is to begin the process of weeding out those reels and saying, no. I'm creating a new one right now. And I don't want to listen to that one. And then just begin to weed out this control that this ego-based mind who wants to keep me safe, it has over me. And I have to choose. I have to say, no, today we're making a new movie. Today, there are endless possibilities. Today is a possibility of the beginning of a new movie, or whatever I want. Maybe I'll meet a guy today, or maybe I'll get a job today, or maybe I'll, and new possibilities, new life, new belief, new scene at different. He said that when we choose to allow the reels to run, that we are missing out on so many realities that are actually happening right in front of us, but we can't see it because the realities of the past are also running, skewing and distorting the view of the moment. So we're not even living in the now. And he's big into, we got to live in the now, which is interesting. Eckhart Tolle's book was called The Power of Now. And I think he got it from this book. I really do. Because it's like we could choose another way. And one of the Course in Miracles slogans is choose again. And I kind of like that saying, because it's like at any given moment, I can choose again. And if I fail, I can choose again. You know, I can
You
start
choose the
over.
right mind or the wrong mind. There's a mind that's fearful, anxious, and you can choose the other mind that's trusting and hopeful and blissful and possibility thinking, you know.
And you know, I'm finding lately, this is what I'm finding. It's interesting how this ego mind works. But when I allow the negative running of the reel of negative of some kind, all of a sudden the ego presents another one and then another one, like stacking them up all in a row for me to see. So that as soon as I get done thinking that thought, okay, here's another one, here's another one. Okay, you got it, you got it. Are you going to stay safe? It's like, wow, you just gave me a million negatives. And I was like, a disease, like, you know, it's like, it just gets big. And I'm like, you know what? Shut up. I don't want to hear the negative. Don't. And then I notice that when I say that, it doesn't just be that my body feels good all of a sudden. It doesn't. It has that residue from it that's kind of still there. So that's the point now where I'm learning to say, you know, God, you know, the company of heaven, please help me right now. Help me to release these emotions. Please take this negative emotion and just pluck it out and help me to get back on an even keel, because I just feel tainted by this residue of ugh. And it takes a few minutes, you know, sometimes maybe 10
or a day or
and
two.
yeah, but typically I'll begin to feel okay and then start giving thanks and seeing the good and start washing away that dirt from that dirty glass. And then pretty soon, all of a sudden, okay, all right, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better now. And then, boy, it'd be great if at the moment I can sit down and just be, you know, peace, be still, right? Peace, be still, and just know that I am God, as that saying says, and let the calm and the connection come back. But man, it's mind. It's clever. It's clever.
It just reminded me of those, you know, when you were talking about like a failure or mistakes. Those are, to me, I believe those are life experiences that can, it allows us to be more open for growth, you know, because those mistakes lead us into, let's say, new opportunities or an opportunity to grow and just think about new ways that we can do what we were trying to do maybe in a different way, you know, and in that give us that opportunity for growth.
Yeah, and
That's right.
you're right, and resilience and patience and, you know, stick-to-itiveness and, you know,
Yes.
all forgiveness of self for failing and all kinds of things. Yeah, it's
That's why they come up.
countless. Yeah, so we don't want to fear mistakes. They always say, make more mistakes today. Get up and make some mistakes. It's crazy. But, you know, hey, we're going to make lots of them, and we might as well not fear them. We're going to learn from them. And
I know a guy who talked about making money, and he was saying that money would be the beginning of your problems, you know, because you'd have to figure out where to hide it, where to put it, I'm not saying I'm against that, but he's like, you know, to protect it, you have all the family that wants it, thinks you owe it. You know, my brother made a lot of money. He had 2 kids that died, and he sued a hospital for 2 kids. They gave him drugs that burn out their livers, and they killed them. So he became very wealthy. And he said that he had a line of relatives that thought he owed them. And they were like, I need an operation and you have the money and you're standing in between me and good health, you know? And he had all this guilt and all this. So the guy that I know that was pretty wealthy, he said, you know, if you expect to make a lot of money, expect a lot of chaos, you know, and not that I don't want to think negative about money, because I don't, because there's nothing wrong with it. But I just thought that was interesting. And I think life,
it's a whole new set of
we
lessons
can
to
think
have
like that
money.
too. Is today going to be perfect, or just give me the strength to get through the day and deal what I got to deal with in my head, the people, and and you go through. And what I want to say too is it's like Dr. Hawkins talks about, we're never disconnected from source. If you watch movies, they show we're on like a silver cord, you know, we're down here having this earthly experience, but we're spiritual. So we're never disconnected to source, and our source is our higher self. You know what I mean? We're part of God. We're made in that image and likeness. We're birthed from that essence. And so we have a connection to that. So we can always go into meditation. We can always go into stillness, be still and know that I am who I am, that I'm connected, that I am is who birthed me here. I am that I am is Dan. I'm not Dan. I'm an entity birthed from a bigger entity. You know, I'm a fragment of that entity. I'm a spiritual idea, you know,
A ray of God.
Yeah.
You know, an
having a
aspect of the diamond, whatever you want to call it.
yeah, to shine in a unique way and unfold in a beautiful way, unlike anybody else. That doesn't make me better. I'm just going to unfold in the way that hopefully God intended for me to fold, or the idea that it had in mind when I was birthed.
Amen.
So we can always, yeah, we can always go there, but we'll wind this up, guys.
Yeah.
Do you have any
Thank you,
further thoughts, Jessica? Do you have any
Let you finish it.
last thoughts, or?
I just thought it was great to connect here, you know, just listening to different thoughts and ideas. This morning, I don't know, I just woke up a little, I just felt kind of sad for no reason.
Yeah.
And I actually got a book from the library, and it
All right.
says,
I like it. How to
That's
be
good.
happy.
Damn
What?
it.
I got it. I got it.
That's good.
Oh, I love that. I love
and
that.
and so I started reading a little bit of it, and then it was talking about how to be more mindful, you know, just mindfulness, and also going into a little bit of meditation.
That's
And I do practice meditation, but I feel like I'm not as consistent as I should be.
who is. It's just saying. It's rare.
But I think it's very helpful. So I really appreciate this talk that you guys, everything you had to share was very interesting, and I appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, Jessica.
Anytime you ever
You're
want to
welcome.
talk, anytime you ever want to talk to me and Angela or your husband or anybody, give us a call. We're always here, you know.
Yeah, give him our love and tell him we
Yeah.
hope he has a great day.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You too, okay?
All right. Thank you for
Thank
your
you,
participation.
Jessica.
Enjoyed
Thank
it.
you.
You. Bless
Have
you.
a great day.
You
We'll
too.
see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Yep.
Thank
Thanks.
you.